Welcome to a brand new week of Bonus Stage Plus. My name is Billy, and it is a pretty big week, or it has been a pretty big week leading into the weekend because it is, of course, Tokyo Game Show 2020. Everything's moved online because of the current pandemic we're all going through, but, of course, that doesn't mean that there'll be a shortage of news, updates, and trailers for us to share with you. We've got lots of that. We'll sift through it as humanly possible, and, of course, if you want to find us as a station, we are at 95PlayFM on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and for yours truly, yes, that is _Burns right here on the lower right of your screen, of course, on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. And if you might think I might be doing it alone for this episode, I still got my player too. Hey, Renzo, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Billy. Yes, folks, my name is Renzo, the official player 2 of the Bonus Stage Plus. Thank you so much for joining us this week again on this show. We have so much to talk about, so much gaming news, and yes, you can follow me all over social media. It is at Renzosaurus, and if you'd like to tune in, hey, I'm on the home run with Margot and Gabe, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 p.m. on 99.5 Play FM. But folks, the Bonus Stage Plus is back at it again with so much news, trailers, and everything to talk about. So let's get right into it. Now, the news.
Our first story for today concerns one of the more anticipated titles to come to PS5, and of course we're talking about Final Fantasy XVI. Now, a really interesting tidbit has come out regarding the game as of late, and according to Jason Schreier, formerly of Kotaku, now writes for Bloomberg, he said on the Triple Click podcast that the game has actually been in development for a bit longer, and it was actually already being made before Final Fantasy XV launched. Now, if you go back in time, of course, Final Fantasy XV launched all the way back in November of 2016, so it had to have started a little before that. And he says, of course, the game's been in development for about 4 years at this point, and it won't take long before it actually comes out. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that we're getting it on launch with PS5, or maybe in 2021. 2022 might actually be a safe estimate for the game, so it's not really that long of a wait when you compare it to something like, of course, FF15 being the prime example here, which was first revealed as Final Fantasy Versus 13, then got rebranded to Final Fantasy 15, went through a director change for that matter. But yes, they Square in this matter, of course, did not want to reveal that detail because they wanted to avoid comparisons between Final Fantasy XVI and Final Fantasy XV. But now that detail's out in the open, we're actually kind of cautiously optimistic given how much they've actually been able to show in the first trailer alone in terms of story and gameplay. Of course, we are going to keep tabs on this. And now, time to throw it to Renzo.
Alright folks, on to more news about a game that you probably know very, very well and either dislike or like based on how many times you've been the imposter or how many times you've had to yell at your friends to tell them that you're not the imposter. Yes, we're talking about Among Us, the crazy video game that has been surging in popularity either because of its easy accessibility, crossplay between mobile and PC players alike, or just the fact that it's a really fun game that hinges on you having to lie and deceive your friends. But nevertheless, it is a very, very popular game that apparently was supposed to get a sequel. 36 days ago, the creators of Among Us announced that there was going to be an Among Us 2. But just last week, they announced that they've canceled Among Us 2. In a blog post on the game's site Puffballs United, one of the game's co-creators writes, "Us devs have had several long discussions about what we want to do with the game. When do we stop working on Among Us 1? What content goes into Among Us 2? The main reason we are shooting for a sequel is because the codebase of Among Us 1 is so outdated and not built to support adding so much new content. However, seeing how many people are enjoying Among Us 1 really makes us want to be able to support the game and take it to the next level. We have decided to cancel Among Us 2 and instead put all our focus into improving Among Us 1. All of the content we had planned for Among Us 2 will instead go into Among Us 1. This is probably the more difficult choice because it means going deep into the core code of the game and reworking several parts of it. We have lots of things planned and we're excited to bring new content to everyone as you continue to enjoy playing." So, no Among Us 2 in the sites, folks, but we are going to be seeing many more improvements, updates, and add-ons to the game that we have all installed on our phones or computers right about now. So, lots of more good news and lots more deceiving and lying to your friends in the future. It's only good when we're talking about Among Us. Alright folks, let's move on to more news.
And in news that could probably count as a film flash, but given that this has something to do with a video game, this definitely bonus stage news. Sega, alongside 1212 Entertainment, is developing a movie based on the Yakuza series, better known as Ryuga Gotoku in Japan. And this actually isn't the first time that they made a movie out of said series. All the way back in 2007, they already had one, and it was directed by none other than Takashi Miike, very prolific and, should we say, mad filmmaker who has made a couple of my favorite movies of all time. And yes, I sort of want to kick myself for not searching for this one, but I should fix that one pretty soon. So there's no word yet on when they plan to release it, who the scriptwriter is, and a lot of other important details. It's just been reported that, of course, Sega is making this movie and they're moving forward with it. Of course, not the first time that Sega's making a movie out of one of their existing video game properties. Last year we got Sonic. Well, actually not last year, but then again, since it came out in early 2020, it does feel that way. We got Sonic, they're developing a sequel for that, and now it's over to Yakuza, and I'm looking forward to how they'll adapt this time around, because of course Yakuza is known to be part serious crime drama and part totally bonkers game that reflects a lot of Japanese culture. And yes, it has me awfully curious and maybe cautiously optimistic. I hope it does land in the hands of a capable filmmaker who can really just capture the essence of the games, of course, warts and all that craziness, and just translate it to the silver screen.
Alright folks, for those of you who may have played through The Last of Us Part 2 and are still crying, emotional, and wanting more, don't forget that Naughty Dog did dub September 26th, which was over the weekend, the official Last of Us Day. And of course, as a treat to all of us fans and players, they revealed a couple more things, namely that our favorite game, of course, that has dragged us through the mud emotionally and gameplay-wise as well, is actually coming to the tabletop. And no, we're not talking about a Dungeons & Dragons Last of Us port, which would sound like a lot of dice rolling and crying. They're talking about the official Last of Us board game. It's being developed by Cool Mini or Not, previously responsible for Bloodborne the board game and the God of War card game, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, they're planning to transport the characters, situations, and everything that we all know and love from The Last of Us into a board game experience. Now, how that is supposed to fare, I'm not sure, because the whole emotional weight and narrative force behind the game is really what makes The Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 special and great to play through. So how they're going to replicate it in the board game experience, I'm not so sure. But hopefully it does involve a lot of emotional crying and hopefully not real life violence. But again folks, no further details have been announced, so we'll just be waiting here to find out more. And also, for those of you who may have not gotten enough of the Last of Us Part 2 soundtrack, they also announced that there is going to be a special 2-disc Last of Us Part 2 vinyl soundtrack released, of course featuring music from Gustavo Santaolalla and Mac Quayle, for those who want to relive the emotional pain that these games have put us through. Again folks, all the details can be found in the description. And now, on to more news.